please welcome to the stage Chief Marketing Officer, Philip de Guzman.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the 2025 Defense Software and Data Summit. This is a really unique room that we've brought together today. We have our peers coming from industry who share our passion for supporting defense and national security missions. We have experts coming from the top think tanks and academia. And then finally, we have our customers who are coming to us from across programs, across the entire country, the services, and the national security community. These are the individuals who are responsible for imagining, developing, fielding, and ultimately sustaining all of the capabilities that keep us safe. And we're very humbled to have everybody in this room together. For our third annual summit, we developed a really excellent program for everybody that spans the full defense acquisition process, and we're excited to share it with you. Let's kick off. Please join me in welcoming our CEO, Tara Murphy-Dougherty.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, all of you, for joining us today and for being here. Welcome to Govini's third annual Defense Software and Data Summit. This is a pretty remarkable time to gather together and discuss these issues of critical national security importance. If you were able to join us for the past 2 years, you heard that I opened the event with, hang on one second, I lost my notes. This is too long of a talk to do it completely on the fly, but I'll try and get pretty darn close. Thank you, team. So the past 2 years, I opened the event by sharing a perspective on the defense and military security challenges facing the United States around the world. Those same challenges continue to stress our national systems today. Russia and Ukraine are still at war. There is conflict in the Middle East. China remains a significant and serious threat to American interests and our way of life. We have seen unexpected escalations on these fronts as well. China has launched an international PR campaign to garner worldwide support for its aims of taking control over Taiwan. Who would have thought North Korean soldiers would be deployed on the southern border of Russia? And there are certainly many changes happening within the United States, too. In fact, the US federal government is currently undergoing a shakeup unlike anything we've seen in our lifetimes. And while there are politics that tie into that, and I'd argue there are personnel issues to set aside, what has struck me about the defense and national security conversation happening today is that the issues at hand that we are discussing are largely the same issues that we have been talking about for years. What is different right now is that we just might see bold and dramatic change. I hope that there's reason to be optimistic because we are well past the point of desperately needing this change. The open secret in Washington, D.C. is not that there is bloat and inefficiency in government. That's just open. It is that if the United States has to go to war, we are not ready. The open secret is that China sees its window, and that window is getting closer and closer. Although we have the best military in the world, and we certainly have the most professional and most capable war fighters, we are simply not ready. So I would offer 3 areas to Secretary Hegseth and the department to prioritize in order for the United States to first better deter this conflict, and second, if we are forced to enter it, win decisively. Number 1, connect the supply chain and the kill chain. As warfare has modernized, separate and distinct software systems have evolved to support warfighting functions. In recent years, we've seen some progress in connecting workflows such as intelligence, targeting, and fires. Logistics has seen no such progress. Today, the military's logistics systems are entirely separated from the warfighting systems that generate data about expenditures and demand, as well as separated from those that manage supply. They are an isolated ecosystem digitally, despite the fact that our logistics officers are very much integrated into the warfight in reality. To sustain the joint force, particularly in a contested environment, likely for a protracted conflict, this has to change. DoD can no longer treat the kill chain and the supply chain as two separate systems without slowing down the pace to an untenable level for a high-end conflict. Today, the Army is at the forefront of re-envisioning how these warfighting systems operate as one cohesive command and control platform for the next generation of conflict. From the sensor to the shooter to sustainment, there is one operating system for executing on the battlefield, and the data runs seamlessly through all of those functions. With ARC, Govini is powering the sustainment function of this Army operating system. And importantly, this isn't a planned initiative or some development program. Today, soldiers with hands-on keyboards are using real-time data and AI-powered workflows for live inventory tracking, predictive demand planning, optimized resupply missions, informing target effector pairing for fires missions, and more. Scaling this effort and using the progress that the Army has made in this pathfinding capability area to inform CJAD C2 and the other services' own command and control initiatives is an imperative. Number 2, ban spreadsheet management of weapon systems and platforms. The operational readiness of US military systems, those rates are at historic lows. Program offices are in a constant state of reacting to manufacturing capacity shortfalls emanating from the industrial base, reacting to obsolete parts, and trying to perform the impossible task of disintermediating foreign suppliers. The result is low military readiness, high mission incapable rates, and programs that are woefully over cost and behind schedule. At this point, it's hard to even blame the primes, because honestly, they largely manage their suppliers in spreadsheets and homegrown IT systems as well. Frankly, the problems are pervasive, but the secretary and the department have an opportunity right now to step up and drive real change. So what I propose is for every single program executive office that has operational readiness rates below the required threshold on an average basis across its portfolio, that office should be required to immediately cease operations, transition its business management activities into defense acquisition software, or relieve itself of force structure. That should be the choice. You know, in the private sector, successful companies don't continue to put money into a failing business unit. And while the Department of Defense is certainly not a commercial entity, this lesson holds true. Treat your PEOs like business units. Effective management and execution must be a prerequisite for investment. Stop doing what isn't working. Start taking a modern approach. That will drive the outcomes that we seek and that we need. This is already happening in the Navy. NAVSEA has the hefty task, among other things, of sustaining the in-service attack submarines, classes such as Virginia, Los Angeles, and Seawolf. When we first engaged with them, they brought to us 300 obsolescence cases, cases where manufacturers were no longer producing or supporting essential submarine parts. Those cases lasted, on average, more than 4 years before resolution. The impact of that on submarine readiness and maintenance schedules was staggering, to say the least. Today, this office manages all of those parts in ARC. In the first 2 months of doing their work in defense acquisition software, they resolved 40 obsolescence cases. They reduced case resolution time by 95%. This is what it looks like to manage your business effectively instead of manually. And number 3, the American tech sector is banging on the Pentagon doors. Let them in. To DoD leaders, this is your Freedom's Forge moment. You have marshaled the interest of this generation's industrialists. Some of them are CEOs that will speak on this stage today. They are showing up to join the cause, to be better than DeepSeek, to bring a technological edge to the industrial base that has for a long time backstopped American military power. Since Ash Carter started what was then DIUX in 2015, the Department of Defense has been more aware of and more welcoming of these new industrialists. Significant effort, funding, and attempts at reform have been launched over the past decade in order to attract these companies to the defense mission. And it has worked. We are here. But we still aren't able to fully participate in the system. Until DoD complies with the Federal Acquisition Streamlining Act, until it actually embraces firm fixed price contracting when it's buying commercial products, until it makes changes to the procurement and budgeting processes to at least meet these companies halfway when it comes to finding commercial terms to work together, inviting them in is frankly a false invitation. This administration has an opportunity to drive real and significant change in this regard. And yesterday's news about the new software acquisition memo might be a demonstration that that change is coming. I suspect you'll hear more than my 3 ideas today during the upcoming discussions. I hope that you share some of our optimism, that you engage today and learn, and that we can work together to find ways to drive US national security interests and to take care of Americans at home and abroad. Thank you all for being here, and please enjoy the event.